Thanks for everybody coming out on such a tropical morning and working through the parking issues. We're going to get started here now, Mary, you said? If any late stragglers, we'll deal with that. We have Kerry Ingram. He's going to start off today. He's our partner territory manager from Microsoft. And then we have Lisa Mesner, HP rep. Been working with Lisa. Well, I've been here going on 17 years. And so 17 years. So she's been a solid partner of ours from HP. And then we have our very own Eric Peterson in the back there. He's going to follow up, close things out today, talking about this whole migration with Windows XP, Office 2003, and Server 2003. So since we're starting late, we'll just get started. Kerry, if you're ready to roll.
Yeah. Good morning, guys. Can you hear me okay? Great, great. So today I'm basically going to be covering something called Get2Modern. Just before I do that, I'll give you a little background on myself so you know I'm not totally blanketed over with everything Microsoft. So to start, thank you, Camera Corner, for having me out. As I mentioned, we're going to be covering Get2Modern. I'll tell you what that means or suggests for you as a client and what that means for the business partner community that serves you, specifically Camera Corner. But my name is Kerry Ingram. I am a channel development manager for Microsoft, specifically for the SMB group. And so what that generally means is everything that's not large enterprise or big corporate accounts. And so in order to serve that market, we work through channel partners, which we call VARs, which Camera Corner is a VAR and has been for a long time. I really appreciate them giving me the opportunity to speak to you on what we define as an important topic, not only for us and our business partner community, but more importantly for you guys as end users. And so what I'll be covering basically will be the Get2Modern campaign, what that means for you, but then I will, at the end, we will have Michael Koffs, who is our technical sales specialist, who will step in and give you a demo, because I just don't believe you can fully grasp what's in the tools, what's in the new technology without seeing a demo. Is that fair enough? Now, the thing I want you to know about Michael Koffs is that he's located in Seattle. And so when he comes on, I want you to boo him. I want you to boo him really loudly. He knows we're in Green Bay, but he's going to be joining us remotely via link. Okay? All right. Next chart, please. Oh, okay. All right. So, how many of you know that support for XP and Office 2003 is ending on April 8th of this year? Good, very good. So you kind of blow these statistics out of the water. So I'm glad that you guys are aware of what, that the end of life is actually coming. Because when this study was done, we were a little concerned that a large percentage of people knew that support was coming to an end, but had no idea what it meant to them or for them, had no idea of the actual time frame, be it 2013 or 2014, and all the ancillaries that go along with it. Can they run certain tools on their older desktops? Just basic things that come with knowing the details of a upgrade path for software and the related peripherals that come along with it. So I won't even dig into this because I'm glad to see that the numbers are very positive here as far as your knowledge. So overview of Get2Modern. Get2Modern is basically a campaign that we put together specifically to educate the partner community as well as our end users about the end of support for XP in Office 2003. Now, on a high level, for some people, they don't think that means a lot. But there's some things that you have to take into account as it relates to not being on current software and what the implications of being an older legacy software can do for you. So end of support means customers do not receive security updates for either Windows XP or Office 2003. Microsoft will no longer provide support for these products. Many Microsoft products, including Office 365 and Office 2013, which is an on-prem solution, are not compatible with XP. And in several cases, not compatible with Vista. If it's Office 365, that's not compatible with Vista either. So SMB is significantly behind as it relates to not only the knowledge of the need to upgrade, but the implications of what the upgrade means. So when we did this study, we saw that there were nearly 8 million customers that were still using XP, if you can believe that. How many of you are still using XP? Okay. So why should customers even care, right? No new updates. I stress no new updates because here's one fact that you should probably know. Since October 1 of last year, there have been 13 updates to XP. 9 of them were critical. 4 of them were important. There were, I believe, 6 updates to to Office 2003, all of which were important, and all of which was important actually. So keep in mind that as well as you know the date, so do the people that do malicious software, that are really out there to try to garner themselves, engage themselves for an occasion such as this. The kind of things we're seeing going on in the media today, that's highlighting the things that go along with software issues, the things that go along with breaches, and things like that are really things that we have to take seriously, and Microsoft is definitely doing that. And so our motivation is to get you current. Our motivation is to get you to the best, what we believe our best platform so far, in the Office tools and in the operating system of Windows 8 and 8.1. So that is really our motivation. And I don't want this to be all fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right? There are some good things about the product that I think will, enhance what you're doing today and will be a great part of your user experience going forward. No support. Elimination of free or pay-assisted support options. Online technical content updates won't be available either. Now I imagine there probably will still be some vendors out there that will support you in some way or another, but you and I know that those vendors always come at a premium. But in addition to that, there's always some issues that happen in the interim. One of the things I experienced because I came from IBM. I was at IBM almost 14 years, and coming from IBM, saw clients of all shapes and sizes, from enterprise clients to very small, tiny clients. And when the economic crunch happened, the one thing I saw is that some of the ERP, CRM, and software, basic software providers that were essential to a lot of businesses that weren't really keeping up with the times as it relates to technology, as it relates to security and updates and those kind of things. What we wound up seeing happen is a lot of those companies folded. And some of you may have even experienced an ERP company or something like that you've been working with in the past. You saw the support lagging off. You saw the opportunities to find resources that can help you with specific things, whether it be development or enablement for those products, were going away. And so that's kind of what this means. When there's no support there, there's a lot of holes that needs to be filled. And what we do, we work very closely with the malware and spyware teams that create products that specifically run in conjunction with Microsoft. And so even those vendors are no longer supporting the legacy equipment. So 75% of SMB consider it important that they have the most up-to-date technology. Well, what's the challenges that face a SMB group or SMB company? Usually costs, right? I mean, sometimes you have to take into consideration payroll or software upgrades, right? I mean, those are real issues that business owners and business leaders have to face and deal with. But in addition to that, what we also find is SMB is a later adopter of new technology. And so though there's a need for new technology, some of the opportunities to get new technology aren't always taken advantage of. That chart came out weird. So 2 reasons to get to modern. I've mentioned the security issues and those kind of things, but these are what I believe are really the rubber meets the road. The technology is great. The upgrade path is easier than you might think. With the options that are available now, be it on-premise or Office 365 in the cloud, it can help you streamline that process, and I'm sure Connecting Point can help you develop a plan or strategy to execute that. I really think the devices are I've been impressed. Coming from an environment where I never really got to see or touch the tools at IBM, one of the things I love about being with Microsoft is that, generally speaking, I touch and play with the tools before they actually are released to the public. And so I get the opportunity, as well as my colleagues, to share what we think is missing from a product or what we think should be included with a product. So by the time it comes to you guys, that the user experience is top notch. And so we don't just kind of throw things out there and wait to see what happens, wait to see what issues happen. We really take personally investing our time and effort into upgrading, 6 months or a year before you actually see a release, so that we work out all the bugs and the kinks that we can at that time. But the devices that are coming along with it, Lisa will talk a little bit about the devices that HP has, are phenomenal. I think historically, when you think Microsoft, you think desktop and laptop. But now there's everything from Windows phones to tablets to convertible tablets to laptops to desktops to all-in-ones that you can basically pick up off your desk and take with you to do presentations. I mean, just a plethora of devices that are out there now that meet your every business need. And historically speaking, if you're like me and in college, I was right before the Microsoft wave, and so a lot of what I did was very complicated on the computer. I remember I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember, I might be dating myself, but I remember the Tandy Visions, right? I had a Tandy computer that my mom bought me for college, and I remember how complex it was working through that thing to get my papers done and that kind of thing. And then when this thing called Microsoft Office came out, I was like, wow. This means I don't have to be an expert in IT to actually utilize tools. And so that's the legacy we come from. And what you see now is, I mean, they really understand, and we really have tried to adopt ourselves to what the marketplace is doing. So you don't necessarily, even though we really want you to have, we think we have a great list or variety to choose from as it relates to devices. We still work with some of the other devices who will remain nameless, for the point of this presentation, but some of the other devices that, come from, a Droid or a Mac, right? So we still have compatibility with the Office tools in those products. So this is Microsoft's productivity vision, if you would. It's the best experience across multiple devices. It's cloud on your terms, be it on-premise, be it cloud, or a hybrid of both. In some cases, we have customers that are using, like this morning, we're using SkyDrive because my presentation was too large to send in an email. And so I create a URL in SkyDrive so that Nick can download it And in ordinary circumstances, that's how we would go about doing the presentation. So making life easier for you. If you think about how many of you would allow 50 gigs on an email box today? That's what Office 365, for example, in the cloud is offering to each end user. And so those are the kind of things we're talking about, you know, really operating the business the way you need it to operate without the hiccups and the gaps in collaboration and support that you need. And so look across the board. There's messaging, there's voice and video, there's content management, there's enterprise social, there's reports and analytics. All of the things historically that you've known from Microsoft have been enhanced. And so it's not just what you remember from an Excel, PowerPoint, and Word perspective when we think of Office tools. We're thinking of collaboration tools like Yammer, for example, for social presentations, for social media, for interpersonal communications within your organization to keep ideas top of mind for people in real time. For you to be able to share information, share top of mind thoughts or ideas, share and collaborate without blogging down your email. That's what Yammer is about. Very similar to Facebook. I call it the Facebook for the office, right? Being able to access what you need to access, being able to get your vendors involved in your social media discussions and that kind of thing, and then being able to put limits and guidelines on people who may or may not be able to access certain things within your environment. You get to set the parameters, basically. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that as we keep going. So we introduce as the modern office devices, cloud, social, and control. And so when we speak devices, we're talking about symmetry. Symmetry means for us, it means you can start in your office with your desktop using the documents that you use, using the tools that you use. It means you can go down the hallway to your business meeting carrying your tablet and still be able to access the same information. It means you can go home without taking your tablet or your desktop, you know, you can and access the same documents and information that you were able to access at work at home. It means doing everything that you do up to 5 devices have access to whatever you're doing from an office in the cloud perspective. Does that make sense? So symmetry is very important for the way we live our lives. So it means that you can access your information whether you're on the train in New York to Boston or you're on the beach in Miami, which sounds ideal right now, right? Or you're on a flight or a trip up to Green Bay like myself. So one of the other things that I mentioned a little earlier, or I alluded to a little earlier, is that now we have compatibility with both Droid and Apple for those that are using iPhones and the tablets from those vendors. So, although we prefer HP. So we talked a little about what the cloud means for us. And we've invested a ton of resources and talent into making sure that the environment is really secure from a standpoint of offerings in the cloud. So we have very large enterprise customers that leverage our cloud today, such as Delta Airlines, but we have small clients that, you know, I think Nick mentioned the other day he had a small business that really had some big needs, but had compatibility issues with the various products that they use. And so he said he sold 1 license of Office 365 to that individual so that that individual could leverage whatever they needed to leverage and collaborate with the people that they work with easily and make those things readily available to them that historically they come to expect from Office. Social, I talked a little bit about this. The cool thing about social is not just Yammer, but also the Skype and Link capabilities. How many of you have heard of Link? So About half, okay. So going forward, Link and Skype will have very similar capabilities going forward. They'll kind of merge the technologies into one. So be on the lookout for how that will look, from a consumer standpoint and a business standpoint, kind of marrying the two so that you can still use the same devices, you can still use the same tools to access the things that you've been accessing. And control. I mean, ultimately, we need to be able to keep our data secure, keep it protected, but we need to be able to retrieve it, make it readily available for certain things like audits, for compliance purposes. If you're in an industry that is heavily governed or regulated by compliance guidelines, a lot of our technology meets those parameters. And so this is what we talked about, being able to access Office wherever you are, from whatever device you're using, whether you're a customer site, at home, or in your office. So the business value for SMB, these are basically reiterating some things that I've already mentioned. Access from anywhere, working together, easy IT, and best values. So as I mentioned earlier, you have to be, in order to utilize Office 365, you have to be on a modern operating system, specifically Windows 8. They're designed to run together. They're designed to work together. You cannot use Vista in conjunction with Office 365 or XP. Anybody using Vista right now? Okay. So we're talking security, we're talking mobility, we're talking productivity, we're talking flexibility. The flexibility piece, as I mentioned, being able to use up to 5 devices, user license of Office 365 for one individual. I'm speeding through this because I think the most important part of this is for you to actually see and visualize how we use this stuff every day and how it could best serve you guys as an organization going forward. So here's some of the licensing options. Camera Corner can talk to you in greater detail about what might best fit your business. We find very often that the mid-sized business for SMB sells very well. But we also find that the E1 and E3 sells very well because those are, even though they're enterprise and they're geared for large organizations, they have so many tools included underneath the umbrella of Office 365, and they also have some internal use rights, some things that you cannot do from an e-discovery standpoint or some security compliance standpoints. That you may not be able to do in, say, Office 365, mid-size or small business. And so in the enterprise options, they're deep and wide, and they grow with your organization. So here are some of the things that you can come to expect. And here's some of the things that kind of are distinguishing marks between, for instance, small business versus mid-sized business versus enterprise. And so as you can see, probably the most critical things that you can see is the voicemail archiving and data loss prevention options are specifically only available in the E3 option. The Active Directory, which will probably be pretty important to most of you, is only available in the E3. Otherwise, it's pretty open. We usually recommend the E3 specifically because of the versatility. And as there are upgrade paths. There are some people that wind up starting out with small business, moving to mid-business, just because they see some things that they need as they begin to use the tool that maybe they hadn't thought about when they made the initial purchase. So we do create upgrade paths for you, within your contract so that you can make those upgrades if you see fit. In addition to that, You can also make transitions from small business to, I think you can make them to E1, but not to E3. But the goal is, as you get to playing with the tools, as you get to utilizing the tools, you get more comfortable, you see more reasons for you to use them in your environments in various settings. And so the great part for you is, as you see those needs, you're not stuck in the software that you might have purchased initially. You can, in the life of your license contract, make an upgrade to something that's a little more robust. So why should customers move now? Strong mix of promotions. I mean, right now we're putting a ton of promotions out there for business partners like Connecting Point in particular, so that they can have what they need to make the sale with you, essentially. And so not just a sale and transaction, but so that you can be positioned to buy what you need to buy in a time frame that fits your needs, so that you can, most importantly, can start putting a strategy together to start upgrading, to get to that migration path that makes sense for you. So the promotions are in place right now for them to leverage and for you to leverage. We're working closely with the partners to give them, different migration strategies as they continue to work with partners and serve the need, work with clients, I should say, and serve your needs. And so we're always sharing best practices about migration and extra tools that can be used to leverage in the migration process. And we think this issue should be top of mind for you guys. How many of you can run your business without being on a current operating system or on a current Office product? What do you think this will mean for you going forward? What'd you say? I'm sorry. A lot of work. A lot of work. So I've been talking a lot about Office 365. There's a reason behind that. It's not that on-premise is not a great solution as well, but Office 365 will allow you to expedite that process to get to something modern. And that, historically, when people make the upgrade from XP, they usually have to go to 7, then to 8. That could be a nightmare, right? Why not take advantage of the technology that's available to you by taking the Office 365 path? And the migration process is a lot easier and smoother with that. Yes.
So I'm assuming by the name Office 365, you're kind of implying that you will this will be the last one you have to buy, because it's going to, in the cloud, continue to upgrade, so you won't have to do these migrations. Right, right. That's an excellent point. Because what Office 365 is doing, in your on-prem solution, remember we talked about the updates that you have to get, the critical updates every now and then as it relates to XP and those kind of things. Well, and 2003 for that matter. In Office 365, those updates are done, all the time. And when new things are available within Office 365, they're made available to you right away, real time. And so that is essentially what we're trying to get to, where you can take advantage of the new technology, you can take advantage of the updates right away without downtime in your business, is what it comes down to. So I'm reiterating April 8th. Now keep in mind, I want you to, I've come, as I mentioned, I came from IBM and I was there for 13 and a half years. The thing that I want you to consider is this. There are very few software companies out there that will support a software product for 13 years. The release of XP was in 2001. There are very few products that you will continue to get support at that length of time. The thing that has happened is an evolution, right? I mean, in software, there's evolutions just like we evolve as people. So in the evolution of the operating system as well as the Office tools, we continue to make updates. The security is tighter, the compliance is tighter,
as new regulations are coming out from the federal government as relates to regulatory compliance, we're meeting those guidelines in the updates, in the new tools. So those are the things you have to keep in mind as you're thinking new technology. Why should I make the move? It's not just about the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. There really is a lot of robust tools available to you through things like Link, through things like SharePoint and Yammer, as I just mentioned.